what an unbelievable week. As I said, you just said to the players, this doesn't happen. Today doesn't happen without complete buy-in from the building. Listen, you guys have all reported about the changes and all that, and that's all well and good. But the buy-in and the execution, the preparation, I just told those guys, nothing substitutes good preparation. And we had just such a good practice week. The guys really just, and I said it to you guys about the buy-in during the week. I sounded like coach speak when I was saying it, I'm sure, but that's why we won this football game. We won the football game because all three phases had great weeks of preparation, and we went out and executed. Listen, there's plenty of stuff that we got to get fixed. There's some takeaways. I thought our fans were unbelievable today. You always worry, just generally speaking about, the team's not doing that good. This city, right, is starving for some wins, and we were hungry. I know they're hungry, and we were hungry to give them one, and that was awesome. But think about how the crowd affected the game today. We had some offsides penalties down there in the red zone. The crowd was into the game, loud energy, and so we're going to get this dome back to where it used to be, and that's to start. I do want to compliment Alvin on the club rushing record, just like I just said to the team. Anytime you use the phrase "all time," it's a big deal. And I know he's joking around about feeling old, but he certainly doesn't look old. He looks like the same guy that was being producing all these years. I thought a couple takeaways from the game. I thought Honey Badger's his interception at the end of the game is maybe the biggest play of the game. We started to lose momentum there a little bit, and not a surprise to anybody that's from this area and followed his career that he's making big plays and big moments of the game. Another point that I thought was a big deal is we mentioned it during the week. We challenged the wide receivers, right? There's some wide receivers that weren't even on our roster today. They're making catches. Scantling, 2 huge plays. I kind of challenged him this week. Him and I were joking around all week about, having juice and having energy, practice great, showed up in the game. A guy like Kevin Austin. People don't even know who Kevin Austin is. Here's a guy that we picked up in training camp and practice squad from the UFL and just worked his ass off every day to a point where some of the veteran guys are like, man, coach, you got to give this guy a chance. And so, he stepped up. Ridgeway, a guy that wasn't on our roster initially, way back in training camp, he blocks a field goal. And so, just some really, really good stuff there. I couldn't be more proud. As I just said to the crew in there, the team, again, I've been around a long time, college and NFL a long time. I've never been more proud of a group, the way that they, handle everything. Because when things are uncomfortable, it's easy. It's easy to just cash it in, and no one did that this week.
What happened at the end of the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened. I yelled at Peyton Turner with 30 seconds left because he's celebrating before the game's over. So I screamed at him. And so he's spraying water, and I ripped his ass, quite frankly. So when the game was over, he wanted to get me back. So he came up to me, and I wasn't looking. He jacked me in the back, and I got a history of stingers. So my left arm went completely numb. Literally went completely numb. So I'm sure the video has me like this. I'm looking at my thanks a lot, Peyton. So I'm fine. I just I got a little C5, C6 going for years from the old. Sound like the old guy, and I am. That's what happened. Gave me a stinger, for lack of a better phrase. I couldn't feel my arm, so my balance was screwed up. I'm fine. Yeah. Listen, all those other stingers I got in my life, at least I saw them coming. I was prepared for them. This one, I never. I mean, if I'm gonna get hurt, holy cow. So
when you grabbed onto him, that was you literally just trying not to fall.
I was grabbing him like, Payne, are you effing kidding me? Right? I'm like, I'm happy too, but holy cow. So anyway, yeah, all good.
Did someone present you with a game ball?
I'm sorry?
Did anyone present you with a game ball?
Oh, they did. Derek made a nice little speech in there. I got a game ball, and I gave a game ball to AK. And as I said in there, AK's game ball is an all-time game ball. My game ball was a first-time game ball, but the entire building's getting a game ball this week. Everybody was phenomenal. Everybody, the support staff, coaching staff, front office, players, equipment guys. I gave the equipment guys more work this week, changing the lockers around, like everybody. It never heard a bitch, a complaint, never heard anybody. Just everybody completely from day one bought in, and so the whole building is getting a game ball. But yeah, Derek made a nice little presentation there.
Was that your decision to make Alvin captain? Was teams?
It was.
Came up to you? What was the thing about that?
No, that was a coach's decision. That was my decision. I just thought. Listen, I thought I thought Alvin's presented great leadership all year. Think what he means to this city, think what he means to this organization. Think about the way he's played this year. I just thought he's handled, the week very, very well, and I just thought it was the right thing to do. And he was, again, I mentioned it's easy to kind of just go on and do your own thing. Alvin Kamara might have been the guy that bought in the most of the whole entire team. And so when the younger guys and those guys see the leadership of the team, when those guys see that, they follow suit. I just thought it was the right thing to do. He's been acting like a captain, practicing like a captain, playing like a captain. So why not make him a captain?
There's a little bit of leadership on this team, and even between the third and fourth quarter, Mario guys all defense together and giving kind of a hype speech. How much easier does that make your task this week? Yeah,
truth be told, I walked over to talk to the defense. And I certainly probably could find the video. I circled back around because DeMario had him, and I said, "I'm good. I'm not gonna do any better than he's gonna do." And he had him goofed up. I mean, but that's the uniqueness about this team. We have guys like DeMario, guys like Cam, guys like Honey Badger, guys like Alvin and Derek. I mentioned it during the week. We have a unique blend of young and old, and our younger, more inexperienced guys have some really, really good examples there to follow. But DeMario is, he's as good of a leader as I've ever been around.
Last week it was it's been a lifelong goal to be an NFL head coach. Just as goofy as this is, what does this feel like for you right now? Like, how good does this feel?
Besides the stinger, besides the stinger, and my left thumb is still coming back. Besides that, it was awesome. Listen, you guys know me; I'm a pretty open guy. So this is how my day started. I get down here to the stadium, I get down here to Superdome. I go in the head coach's locker room, which I've never used before, right? So here I am early in the morning. I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended. And so listen, I'm like, okay, this is not really a great start to the day. Here we go. And so, I'm not really feeling like a head coach of an NFL team right now. So, so I'm like, really? This is really how we're going to start my day? So, but listen, there was moments during the game. I'm so wrapped up in my routine. There was moments today where like I'm almost forgetting. I'm just going through my routine, and I'm kind of forgetting that I'm the head coach a couple times. All true. And so I thought our staff did a great job. Phil Galano, Marwan Malouf, awesome job with the game management, kind of helping me through it. I thought Clint and Joe called a good game. Listen, there's plenty of stuff to get corrected, but yeah, listen, it's certainly a little surreal to see how happy the players were in the locker room. The celebration was awesome.
You talked about during the week that you were aggressive by nature. Did you come into this game wanting to intentionally be aggressive? I mean, even more than too early.
Yeah. I thought we had set the tone early on, and that first drive, in my mind, if we were going to get a 4th and 3 or less over the 50-yard line, in my mind, we were going for it. Kind of set the tone, set the example. Listen, it didn't work out. We left the points there on the board, but I thought at that moment, I think it was 4th and 2 on the 5-yard line. I thought the worst case scenario, we didn't get it. We had them pinned back. We got the ball back at pretty good field position there after the punt, so it all worked out. But yeah, no doubt. I mean, listen, that's what my message to the team was. My mission to Joe and Clint was, hey, we're going to be an aggressive play call. Listen, it didn't work out there at the end. We got the incompletion with Alvin, but listen, that was a great play call by Clint. I wanted to be aggressive. I didn't want to just run the ball one more time and punt it back. I wanted to be aggressive, and so in the beginning, right through the rest of the end of the game, that was our mentality all the way through.
And you talked earlier about, you alluded to the city being starving wins. Can you kind of put into context what the week has been like in the past 7 weeks of a losing streak in the NFL, and then to be able to kind of finally get over the hump today?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I thought, like I mentioned earlier, I thought the energy in the building was great. I was a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit, I really didn't know how it was going to be coming here today, and great crowd, great energy, and then just to see the fans in the beginning of the game, and then to see him as I'm walking off at the end. I mean, that was great. I said earlier in the week, the city should be pissed off, the fans should be pissed off, and they know what a winner looks like, and they want winning football, and the goal all week was to do that. And so, happy we delivered. Now let's see if we can, as I said to the team, let's see if we can duplicate that, week after week. But certainly a great start.
You talked about the football gods on the side today, especially since coordinated. You get to make your street field goals.
Yeah, well, Youngway kicked our ass in the last game. He was lights out, and I briefly talked to Youngway before the game. Him and I are from the same area. Our 2 high schools our rival high schools up in North Jersey. So I've known Youngway a long time, and I was busting his chops a little bit because he was lights out the last time we played him down there in Atlanta. He's a great player. Great job by Ridgway getting his hand on the ball. But certainly when that other ball went up, and I thought the Voodoo guys in the Superdome were helping us out today with my man Koo for sure. So no doubt, and made some big special teams plays. But listen, he's a phenomenal player, and he's been really consistent the last few years.
Tyron's listening, so he mentioned earlier this week he kind of felt like he wasn't being Tyron. So did you change anything or encourage any change about his role or his ability to freelance or his ability to make those plays?
Well, I think Joe within the game plan wants him to have some. There's some things that we do that gives him the ability to read some stuff. Obviously, great read on the interception, and great play. And that's the best part about him is he's his own biggest critic. He knows what good football is. He knows when he's playing good football, and he knows when he's got to step up and what things he can correct. So his experience is huge. So he's not a guy I got to worry about getting prepared. I mean, he's the ultimate professional. He's just got a great football mind, and I'm really happy he's in our locker room. That's for sure.
Hey, Rizzi, you talked about how your day started. Just kind of going back to you last night. Did you get any sleep last night? What was it like? Just kind of,
Yeah, I didn't get a lot during the week. I can promise you. The first few days of the week, I was dragging a little bit. So yet last night I made sure, and I caught a little bit of a cold during the week. Shocker, right? I wasn't eating or sleeping, so I caught a little cold here, and I'm like, man, I got to. So I woke up today feeling great, ready to go, and I came down here refreshed, energized, and now I got to rehab my shoulder because of Peyton. So.
How much family in the audience? See Derek Carr throw the football team because obviously, he's come up. Last week was the first time he played since an injury.
Yeah, he threw a couple of great deep balls today to Scantling. Some great routes by Scantling. It's great to see those guys connect. You look at Derek for the day. I mean, I think he came out of the game with a 132 pass rating, really efficient game for him. But yeah, the deep shots are huge because it opens up everything else. And Scantling did a great, like I said, we put a couple of those plays in this week, couple shots to him, and it was great to see them cash in on those.
Do you have a family in attendance all?
I did. Yeah, I had. I didn't have all. My two sons that play college football, so they weren't able to make it down. But yeah, I had family, friends. Some of my college buddies came in. Obviously my family was here. So just a lot of great people. The support this week's been phenomenal. I still haven't answered every text. I'm still working on that, but no, it's been awesome. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones, and yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. State of the Saints podcast powered by BETUS. Sign up today, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. And if you bet on the New Orleans Saints actually covering today, then you want some money. With New Orleans Saints getting it done, knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I'm going to say that again for the Falcons in the back. The New Orleans Saints knock off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. And man, does it feel good to beat the freaking Falcons. I ain't going to much lie to you. If the Saints don't win another football game for the rest of the season, I'm good because they beat the Falcons. The New Orleans Saints went into this game clearly inspired to play for interim coach Darren Rizzi. They played with fire. They played with passion. The guys wanted to win this football game. They were playing for one another, and it was good to watch. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Not only have the Saints won, it's been a minute, but it's also been a minute where I felt emotionally invested in a football game. Like, felt like I was on the edge of my seat. Felt like I was looking like, it's a game where you're looking forward to watching and you're like, man, I wonder what is going to happen. That's kind of how I felt. And the New Orleans Saints, they did what they needed to do, man, which is slap around the Atlanta Falcons. And for all those Atlanta Falcon fans out there, I got one little fun fact for each and every one of you out there for your great quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has yet to throw a passing touchdown against the New Orleans Saints in 8 quarters. I'm going to say that again. Kirk Cousins in 8 quarters has not thrown a touchdown pass to a receiver, a running back, an offensive lineman, to himself in 8 quarters. He has not thrown a passing touchdown against the New Orleans Saints since he has put on an Atlanta Falcon uniform. So take that to the bank. And yes, the New Orleans Saints have only won 3 games. Yes. Congratulations. You can do math. But guess what? One of those victories are against you. You, the Atlanta Falcon fans out there, the same team who has yet to lose a game in the NFC South until today, when the Saints beat you. The same Atlanta Falcons who have been red hot. What, they won like 3 of their last 4, 5 of their last 6 or something like that, right? Loss. I don't care what anybody says. Y'all can come up here with the nonsense. Y'all can come up here talking about the records. Y'all can come up here talking about whatever you want to. The fact remains the same. The New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons. Take that to the bank. I don't care about how y'all season end up. I don't care about y'all having a better record than the Saints. Do not care. You lost. And it feels good that you lost. To know that the New Orleans Saints are the reason why you all are feeling miserable today makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Can't stand the Falcons. Can't stand the fair weather fans out there that I can't seem to find these days. Not today, at least. They want to talk all that noise, want to break it down. And look, man, I need you to understand. We on a different level from y'all right now. And what y'all going through, we ain't going through. And we going to beat y'all. It's just as simple as that. Well, guess what? Let me break it down for you. Your team is much better than they were last year. But still, y'all got a lot of question marks. Y'all got a lot of question marks, man. So, as far as I see it, they marched into the Superdome. They posted all these pictures like on Bourbon Street. I love it. I love it. They posted all them pictures on Bourbon Street and them marching into the Superdome, waving their little Atlanta Falcon flags. And they were all excited because they watch, because none of them really understand football like that, but they watch ESPN, they watch NFL Network, and they watch these talking heads throw salt on the New Orleans Saints, basically buried them, gave their eulogy in front of the entire world, and they just sat up there and smiled, and they say, you know what? I'm going to buy a ticket from Atlanta to New Orleans to go to the game so I could be in attendance when the New Orleans Saints get buried by the Atlanta Falcons. But guess what? Guess what? We appreciate your contributions to the city of New Orleans. Help our city to thrive. Bourbon Street, come on, man. Local people don't go on Bourbon Street, so y'all can have that. Making sure that y'all continuously contributing to the city of New Orleans. I really do appreciate that. And we also appreciate you all concession stand money, your ticket money. And now you all can go back with your tail between your legs and be in hiding for a week, just like y'all normally do when you talk so much noise and you lose. Fair weather fans. Tell you how fair weather they are. Younghoe Koo missed 3 field goals today, right? He missed 3 field goals. This was the same Younghoe Koo that they were posting and trolling me week after week with Kudat, 57, 58-yard field goal, Kudat, same dude. Now they trying to run out of town. Now they trying to run him out of town. I mean, he was the biggest hero. Now he's the villain. And now he's the reason why they lost to the New Orleans Saints. Nah, you lost to the New Orleans Saints because you got arrogant. You got cocky. And you just thought that, oh, man, looking at the depth chart, man, who is Kevin Austin? Who is Dante Pettis? Marquez Valdez-Scantling just got there. He just been there for a cup of coffee. Who is Shamar Jean-Charles? You underestimated the New Orleans Saints. And you talk so much noise because most of you don't understand that it's division football. Records go out the window. And you ate a bunch of crow. And I love it. So that broom that sweeps my house every single time I need to clean up a little bit, I guess we got to have to put that to the side because ain't no brooms when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. You can sweep the Bucks. Congratulations. You can sweep the Carolina Panthers. Maybe. They playing pretty good 1-2 straight. But you ain't sweeping the Saints. And that's all that matters to me. So, Atlanta Falcon fans, coast to coast, eat your words. Eat that crow. Now, all these different comments that y'all had and y'all was talking all that noise, like, man, I can't let this bitter stuff I can't let you keep on saying all this bitter stuff and being upset. Dude, one thing about me, I'm gonna keep it consistent. I don't care what the Saints record is. I don't like the Falcons. I want to see the Falcons fail. And as a matter of fact, the fact that these Falcon fans are so freaking excited about their football team, and I'm knowing for a fact that they are going to get their hearts broken by every regular season win that they get to make them feel like they that squad, that they that team. Man, I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time. Y'all seen the foreshadow today. That Saints defense is suspect, leaky, to say the least. So imagine what's going to happen when you go up against stiff competition where they're going to shut down Bijan and Tyler Algier, and they're going to have a pass rush. I love it. But keep on talking that noise. Can't talk this week, though, because you lost. I just want to know what time is the Atlanta Falcon parade. I mean, they were marching up Bourbon Street. They marched up Canal Street. Then they made a left. You know what I'm saying? They rolled up the street a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like they were rolling, right? They were rolling. Went down Rampart, all that. Got down the street, right? Bust that right. Went on Porter Street, right? That's what they did. They thought they was going to, man, we about to beat y'all. Rise up. Who that nation? Man, who that? Y'all the Aints. But you know who the Aints today? The Falcons. Because they ain't beat the Saints today. That's why. You know who didn't rise up? Well, actually, they did rise up. They rose up to take that L. So take that L back to Atlanta. Falcons. You ain't winning today. Man, this feel good. Bro. This feels good. I don't care what happened for the rest of the season. I don't. Woo! I'm sorry, man. I'm watching, man. Kyler Murray just got tattooed, man, by Williams, the linebacker, Quentin Williams' brother. Man, that was vicious right there. And I knew he gonna have to get checked out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that in the mic, but I'm like, dang, turn around, that boy got jacked up. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this game, man. I done had my little spiel about these Falcon fans out there that's been talking all this noise, and man, y'all can lick your wounds and get some type of I guess like some type of moral victory. Man, we still running the division. Ain't nothing changed. Okay. Yeah, okay. Keep it moving. The New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17 today, and when the New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17, there was some really great play from some of these guys that needed to step up for the Saints to beat the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Derek Carr, today in the first half at least, really stepped up and made some plays down the field. He went 16 of 25, 269 yards, and had 2 touchdowns in a 20-17 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. He completed, he had a 126 passer rating in a game where the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I think that he played really good in this game. I really do. I think that he played really good in the first half. He was able to kind of stretch the field a little bit. I think the dynamic of Valdez-Scantling and the Falcons not really knowing his capabilities, that kind of played a role. I think that not really knowing Kevin Austin that much, I think that they kind of just underestimated this wide receiver corps as the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I think that the running game played a role in this game. I wish they would have utilized Taysom Hill a little bit more in this game. But Alvin Kamara in a victory versus the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17, he had 17 carries for 55 yards in this game. Alvin ran the ball pretty hard. I think a lot of these numbers came in the first half. The Saints have got to work on halftime adjustments. I mean, I was not impressed by Clint Kubiak in the second half as the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I wasn't impressed by it. I really wasn't. I think that this is the thing that is going to hold Clint Kubiak back, and until they start making necessary adjustments, I just think that they're going to find themselves in some precarious situations, but not today when they knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Oh, man. But anyway, yeah, I think he just needs to work on that. I think that he needs to work on, man, some of those adjustments. I was getting extremely – if you watch that halftime in the second half, stream on the State of the Saints podcast, you will see that, man, every single play that the Saints ran on first down, it was that stretch play. It was that weak stretch play to the left, weak stretch play to the right, or running the ball up the middle. I'm like, can y'all throw the football? I'm like, if I know this, man, what a catch by Marvin Harrison Jr. But anyway, if I know this and you know this, you don't think the Falcons know this? Now, man, they were running the ball every time on first down. I'm like, this is a really good time for y'all to use the play action, because they were literally selling out on first down to try to stop the run and to neutralize Alvin Kamara. You got to get better with the play calling. You got to get better with the play calling, man. But because it's going to hurt you down the stretch. And I'm not sold on dude. Like, regardless to what the New Orleans Saints do next season, rather they decide, man, Darren Rizzi may be the guy, or they go with someone else, I don't know if Clint Kubiak going to end up being offensive coordinator next year. I don't know, because, I mean, I'm questioning this. I'm questioning his ability to make necessary adjustments. And I think by his inability to make those adjustments, they keep these games closer than what they have to be, because he gets a little bit conservative, man. And, this could have easily cost the New Orleans Saints a victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I mean, it could have. But, I mean, it didn't. The Saints were able to beat the Falcons by a score of 20-17. But who's to say that next week, playing against the Cleveland Browns, like, those adjustments won't matter? But they didn't matter today as the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 3 catches for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 5 catches for 54 yards. Taysom Hill, 2 catches for 36 yards. Kevin Austin, 2 catches, 36. Juwan Johnson, 2 catches for 22. Saints need better tight end play. I'm done. I'm done with the Juwan Johnson experience. I think that Juwan Johnson, good dude, funny guy, like the relationship him and his wife have. We know their story. Always easy to root for a guy like that. But I just think that you need some better tight end play, man. What Mason Taylor at, man? Where he at? You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be like a third or fourth round pick. Maybe that can be the tight end of the future for the New Orleans Saints. Mason Taylor from the LSU Tigers. I mean, he was making plays even though LSU looked like slow out there, and Garrett Nussmeier doing his famous Derek Carr impression. But all in all, you know, I think that, you know, Mason Taylor, that boy a stud. Guy's a stud, man. You need somebody like that. You need somebody that's going to be a pass catching tight end. I like Foster Moreau, but you need that stud tight end, and I don't think the Saints have it. And I think if you have that stud in the middle of the field that's going to be able to make some plays, I think that it can pay dividends. Imagine what the Saints could have done if Juwan Johnson would have stepped up in this Saints victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Just imagine what he could have done. You know, what the score could have looked like if you had some better tight end play. But looking at the defense, 10 tackles for Demario Davis and a pass deflection. Ugo Amadi, he battled pretty hard, man. He won some battles. He lost some battles. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. He had 9 tackles. Lante Taylor had 9 tackles, won some battles, lost some as well. Will Harris had 8 tackles. Lord, the boom. I mean, the absolute boom on Tyler Algier. Shamar Jean-Charles battled. He had 7 tackles in the game. Pete Warner with 5. Pete Warner made some plays, but man, Pete Warner was out of position quite a bit. And I just feel like a guy who is now a veteran of the team, one of those cornerstone players, or what the Saints would like to be a cornerstone player. I just feel like we need to get better play from him. I just want to see Pete Warner be that sideline guy. Maybe next year. Yeah, because this is my thinking. I think that we look at guys like Caden Ellis, we look at guys like Zach Bond who go other places, and because the defensive scheme changes and it allows them to kind of do the things that they're good at, it kind of shows us what those players' capabilities are. So maybe the next defensive coordinator that the Saints get will kind of change up the scheme a tad bit, and Pete Warner can kind of be that sideline to sideline linebacker where it's not just about, you know, protecting a certain area. They're able to allow him to kind of, you know, play free and be able to get those 13, 14 tackles. I think it's been a minute since the Saints actually had a linebacker that can just consistently do that. Demario Davis is one, but, you know, Demario Davis is getting up there in age. You want to see that for some of these young studs out here. Peyton Turner had 4 tackles, had 2 solo, also had a sack, a tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. This was clearly Peyton Turner, this was Peyton Turner's best game as a pro. Willie Gay had 4 tackles. Colin Sanders had 4 tackles. You had Tyrann Mathieu had 3 tackles, also had an interception. Cam Jordan with 3 tackles, also had a sack. JT Gray with 3 tackles. Nathan Shepard, DeMarco Jackson, who had a really good special teams tackle, he had 2. Chase Young had 1 tackle, also had a sack. To me, that was the best play that Chase Young ever made in the Saints uniform. You know, getting a sack on Kirk Cousins, getting them out of field goal range, setting up that 2nd and 28. Man, I want to say they lost 18 yards on that play. So that was a good play by Chase Young. Jordan Howden, Millard Bradford, Jordan Mims, John Ridgway, Rico Payton, Brian Brzee is somewhere that you don't want him to be 1 tackle in a game. Like, if you're like one of the best defensive linemen, you don't need to have 1 tackle. Anthony Orji with 1, and this was very disappointing to me. No tackles for loss, but 2 pass deflections and no sacks for Carl Granderson. Carl Granderson got that contract, need a little bit more out of that guy. But all in all, man, it was a collective effort. As the New Orleans Saints knock off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I don't know if I said that, but that's the score for today's game. But the New Orleans Saints got it done. They got it done, and I think that a lot of Saints fans are happy about that. I think that we all are excited about, the Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. But let me go ahead and read some of these comments. Tyra, remember when the Falcons went 1-7 and they came to New Orleans and beat us? No matter how bad we are, I'll always take a win over the Falcons. Yeah, absolutely. I remember that game. I remember it. I also remember when the Atlanta Falcons were undefeated coming into game versus the New Orleans Saints, and the New Orleans Saints snapped a winning streak. I mean, these are the games that you want to win. Like I think that Saints fans would have been excited if the Saints would have won today, but it gives them even more excitement that they knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of what? Y'all know. Y'all know what the score was. Y'all know what it was. Let's see. TJ, did you see Carr say on Fox post game that Dennis Allen had a hand in this win? Nah, I didn't see that. I mean, did they call him or something like that? Hey, Dennis, we know you fired, but if you were playing against the Atlanta Falcons, how would you be able to beat them by a score of 20-17? Did you ask him that? I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. What was that score again? Somebody tell Charles the score. Somebody tell him the score. I don't think I know what it was. I think it may have been I think it was 20-17. I think that may be it. Let's see. Oh man. Let's see. We looked a little more disciplined today. Nah. No, they didn't. No, no, they didn't. No, they did not. They did not look disciplined at all. No, I'm not gonna give them that. Look, bad things always seem to get absolved in a win. We kind of sweep it under the rug. The imperfections, we sweep them under the rug when a win takes place. But no, they had holding penalties. They had false start penalties. They had pass interference plays. They had holding on the defensive plays. So no. They still was just as sloppy as they always were, but they just so happened to beat the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. So, but that they are who they are right now. They are who they are. They are a team that is going to make plays and they're going to get called back because of penalties. They're going to, have offensive line that struggles. They are who they are. Like, there's no secret elixir to fix the New Orleans Saints. No, it's just not. Like, they are who they are. They got to win with what they got. There are going to be some games where you're pulling your hair out and wondering to yourself why they have so many penalties. These penalties are killing us. It just so happened to not kill them in today's game as they knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. But going on down the line, playing against the Browns, playing against the Packers, playing against some of these other teams down the stretch, you got to be able to, play disciplined football, which I think that, you're going to be frustrated at watching this football team play. Hey, TJ, I thought we all agreed that we would lose out the rest of the season for a top pick. Corey, that is true, but I don't think a soul said that the Saints need to lose to the Falcons. I think everybody said we need to beat the Falcons, and that's it. I think that's what everybody kind of was saying. Like, okay, man, as long as we beat the Falcons, I think I'm good. That's what they said. Ain't nobody was trying to sit up here trying to I ain't trying to lose no Falcons, man. I know the Falcons not trying to lose to the Saints. I don't care what their records indicate. I don't care what the records are. The fact of the matter is, you don't want to lose to the Falcons. And luckily, the Saints didn't lose to the Falcons on today as they knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Used Carr and Alante Taylor were frustrating to watch at times in this game. Not to me, man. Like, I'm not the biggest Derek Carr fan at this stage, but I think Derek Carr played good enough for them to win. I think that the play calling down the stretch didn't really do Derek Carr any favors. And I just think that Clint Kubiak did not have a really good pulse on this game in the second half. Luckily, the Saints had a 10-point lead, and they were able to kind of, keep them off, and keep them at bay. They bend, but they didn't break. There was some field goals opportunities that Younghoe Koo missed. They wasn't getting into the end zone. So, I think that kind of played a role. Look, if they would have went it to the half tied, I would have been concerned the way that this game transpired in the second half, because Atlanta was able to run the football really well. I want to say they had almost 6 yards a carry. Bijan was like getting 5-6 yards a clip. So to me, like, I think that the first half helped you, and it always been as way. Like look at the game with Spencer Rattler, right? When they played, I want to say when they played against Tampa, and the Saints had 27 points in the first half. They had 27 points. And then after that, they didn't score any more points after that. So this guy has an issue. I'm talking Clint Kubiak with halftime adjustments. Like he has that DA mind frame where he's telling them keep doing what you're doing. You got to be able to make that adjustment, man. You got to be able to make it. T. Riley, thank you very much for the $5. Says Saints 20, Falcons 17. Thank you for giving us the score, man. Without you, I don't think we would have knew what it was. We kind of forgot about it. But thank you very much, man. But Allen had a hand in our losing streak, man. They ain't about to put like. I want to hear this is what I want to know. This is what I want to hear, and I'm gonna take read a few more of your comments. I want to know what Mickey Loomis has to say about this. That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. That is what I want to know. I want to know what Mickey Loomis feels about the Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17, because Mickey Loomis went on WWL and said that the injuries were the reason why the Saints were losing. That's the reason why, guys weren't really playing. It's nonsense. Guys parking in other people's parking spaces. That's ridiculous. What was ridiculous is you up here caping, being a Cape Crusader, Superman, Batman, Robin. Like that's what you was doing, caping for Dennis Allen, when everybody and their mama knew that Dennis Allen was a dead man coaching. Nobody wanted to play for dude. Dude couldn't inspire someone to come out of a wet paper bag, and everybody on that field today showed you that they were inspired. Guys were fired up. Guys were holding each other accountable. You seeing guys screaming on the sidelines, with passion and coming through with the type of vigor we haven't seen since like 2018, 2019. That is what you actually need right now. And up here trying to cape for Dennis Allen with his no head coaching tail, my dude, that ain't it. So I want to know what he got to say. The first time you fire Dennis Allen and you have Darren Rizzi as your interim head coach, you win a football game after losing 7 consecutive games with Dennis Allen, no coaching tail. That's what you do. That's what you do. So I want to know what he has to say. That's all I want to know. And a part of me is glad. And this may sound crazy, but imagine if the Saints managed to go on like a winning streak, right? Let's just say they start playing inspired. They believe in what Darren Rizzi is selling, and these guys are going out here, they balling out, and they go on this winning streak. Imagine how that makes Mickey Loomis feel, that he was lobbying for Dennis Allen to be the head coach, that he said the injuries were the reason. He would have no choice but to concede, and Gail Benson would have no choice but to consider that this dude may be a little bit in over his head these days. That's all I want to know. I just want to know what Mickey Loomis got to say. If I'm Mickey Loomis, I don't know how I'm going in that locker room. Dudes probably rolling their eyes. You start talking. Great game, guys. Great game. Great game, guys. Man, go sit down somewhere. Loomis is probably at home still crying about Allen getting fired. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, even he had to admit. He said, I got to admit, he's like, you can tell the energy is different in the locker room. Like, it took, like, where you been, dude? Like, where you been? Like, bruh, dude had the whole entire locker room looking like and feeling like Gertrude Geddes around his mug. If you from New Orleans, you know what I'm talking about. You looking like Gertrude Geddes out here. Gertrude Geddes is a funeral home that sits like right off St. Bernard. All I'm saying is, not off St. Bernard, but off Claiborne, excuse me. All I'm saying is, man had him feeling like Gertrude Geddes out here, man. Come on. And all of a sudden, like you inject some energy inside of the locker room. You inject that, right? Yeah, and all of a sudden these dudes want to play. You go for, like I said, you go from the funeral home and now you at a rock concert. I mean, it's a completely different vibe right now. So that's all I'm saying. This team could be easily 10-0. DA was literally holding them back, and Mickey Loomis gotta go. Clint struggled making adjustments though. That's the understatement of the day right there, because he clearly can't make adjustments. Until he makes some, I'm gonna go out on a limb. Well, this ain't even a limb. I'm just gonna say that dude can't make adjustments. I wonder how Loomis is feeling right now. Rizzi is 1-0 as an interim coach. Hey, Mickey, shall we look past these results? Coaching always matters. Yeah, Tyra, thank you very much for the $5. Think that this is appropriate time to stop and pause and thank the fine folks at BETUS. BETUS, proud sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. There's a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000 of them things. All right. The Saints were a 3-point underdog in this game. And if you bet, you probably won. Well, not probably. You won some money if you bet for them to cover. So the New Orleans Saints got the victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. And if you bet with BETUS and use that promo code YouTube150, then you won yourself some money. But thank you to the fine folks at BETUS, the proud sponsor and powered the State of the Saints podcast, proud sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. But let's go ahead and get into it. Breaking down this Saints victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Y'all know what the score was by now. Sound like a broken record, but I do not care. I'm getting tired of listening to Loomis Urkel-like voice. Yeah, I just think that is arrogant sometimes. That's the thing. That's the thing that kind of bothers me. Like, I understand when you're in upper management, they tell you don't let anybody see you sweat. I get it. But when you just out here just with some old nonsensical, I'm talking nonsensical type rhetoric. Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Rizzi has a better winning percentage than DA. How about that for a stat? Yeah, I mean, he 1-0, so he has 100% winning percentage right now as a head coach. Loomis should be fired for those goofy look past the result comments. Man, Loomis ain't going anywhere. Loomis can go up there and say whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, he ain't going nowhere. Just imagine if we go 10-7. We're not, but it would make Loomis look so bad. Oh, it definitely would. It definitely would. And honestly, to me, that would be like one of the greatest comeback stories in the history of sports right there. That you lose 7 straight and then you win, 8 straight? Like, that would be crazy. Like, you lose 7 out of your last 9. It did win your last 8 games. Like, that would be freaking insane. Mickey think he owns the team. Well, in a way he does, but I think that he has been that executive where nobody actually really told him anything, right? It's almost like you have your own room and you've been putting things in your room. This is my room. I want the couch over here. I want the table right here. This is mine. Nobody comes up here and mess with my stuff. Then all of a sudden, like, you come upstairs and then realize that the table that you put in there, the couch that you put up in there has been changed around or removed. And it's like, man, what's going on here? He's not used to anybody really standing up to him, questioning anything that he does. Because for nearly 20 years, it's been business as usual for him. Ain't nobody really questioning him, like, because business was booming. You had a coach that was competent. You had a quarterback that was competent. But now it's like you got a little bit too, big for your britches, as the OGs would say, getting too big for your britches, and you just thought like, okay, man, I got this thing, and nobody needs to question anything that I do. Big mistake. Why is Loomis refusing to go into rebuild mode? They are going into rebuild mode. They are. Like, if you think about it, I mean, right now they got 8 draft picks, trading Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders for a 3rd round and a 5th rounder, if I'm not mistaken. and a 6th. Again, your 6th-round pick back that you gave to the Commanders for John Ridgway. So they don't have to come out and say it. I think sometimes we want that big press conference or that big sound bite that tells us things that we already know. They are kind of rebuilding in ways, right? I mean, you got some young offensive linemen. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to add to that offensive line, knowing the New Orleans Saints, knowing Derek Carr's contract. Wouldn't be surprised if the New Orleans Saints decide to go offensive line with their top pick in the draft instead of going after a quarterback. Because if the Giants stay the course right now, you got to believe that Shadur Sanders more than likely is going to be the first pick overall going into that draft to the New York Giants because, Daniel Jones sucks. No, I'm just being honest. He's not very good. So if you can't get that, then you probably have to go offensive line. You got to probably go with Will Campbell or something. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Or you go after like one of the top wide receivers in the game, that wide receiver out of Arizona. You probably go with somebody like that. So at the end of the day, there's so many other things that you can do. But me personally, I don't like as of right now. Let me take a look. Somebody do this for me because it's going to be kind of hard for me to do this show and look this stuff up. But does anybody know as of right now what pick do the New Orleans Saints have? Now, if Carolina has 9, I assume the Saints probably have 6, 7 or something like that. So can somebody look that up for me and put it in the chat? What pick do the New Orleans Saints have as of right now? Does anybody know? And if you find out, just let me know. Go ahead and put that comment in the chat for me. Okay, so glad to see Fuaga wasn't too bad and came back in the game. All right, so yeah, that was good. I mean, he was on a bike, comes back into the game, so that was good. Says 8 pick as of right now. Okay, so they got the 8 pick. All right, so most people saying 8 pick. I see Lee says 7. So we'll just say between 7 and 8. They got the. I mean, still got some games being played right now. I mean, I'm looking at the game. You got the Tennessee Titans. They 2-6 right now. So I mean, things could possibly change, for the New Orleans Saints by the end of this game. But as of right now, they got the 8 pick. You're not getting Shadur Sanders with the 8 pick. You're not. You're not getting Travis Hunter with the 8 pick. You're not. Right? Only way the New Orleans Saints will be able to do that is, by making an aggressive trade to try to move up to try to get that guy. So to me, if you want to go wide receiver, you want to go get Ashton Genty from Boise State. I wouldn't be mad at that. If you want to get an elite pass rusher, I wouldn't be mad at that. But if you just so happen to be able to get Will Campbell, out of LSU, I wouldn't mind that either. You can probably put Will Campbell on the left side, or you can slide Fuaga back to the right side, his original side where he played his entire career. And you can, and then you can, I don't know, figure out what you want to do. What you want to do with Trevor Penny. But me personally, I'm trying to fix this offensive line if I can't get the quarterback I want. Saints will get the 14th pick. Well, if they get the 14th pick, then you need to just get the best. I mean, they got so many issues at different positions. You can't really go wrong. And maybe the Saints, if you picking in the top 10, you probably, if you want to try to move up a couple spots, you could probably use some of them picks that you acquired through Lattimore, but I wouldn't do that if I'm the New Orleans Saints. What I'm doing is I'm telling my scouts, y'all need to be burning the midnight oil. Find me the best 8 players that you possibly can at these different positions and where they're gonna fall in this draft. That's what I'm looking for. Do you see the NFC South going back to normal, meaning a 9 and 8 team make the playoffs because these L's piling up on everyone now? Probably not, man. I just feel like even though they lost today to the Saints by a score of 20-17, Alfred, I still feel like the Atlanta Falcons, they still have a pretty much a commanding lead over the South. I don't feel like, the teams that they're actually playing I don't feel like, they're not going to, they're going to win more games than they lose. I think that they're probably going to lose next week versus the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are really, really close today by beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Like they were really close. And I just think that Sean Payton is the head coach. And we know that Sean Payton has a winning record against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that his knowledge of the Atlanta Falcons and those players are going to play a huge role, and it is helping him. Maybe Dart in the second round. Nah, bro. We're at a, like, honestly, BJ, we're at a point where if you're not getting a top 10 pick, and that top 10 pick isn't a quarterback, it ain't worth it, man. Get yourself somebody else at another position. And to me, I'm just gonna, like, if we're talking about the Saints picking between 11 and 14 or something like that, because maybe they'll muster up some wins. To me, just get the best player possible, and roll with Derek Carr, because that's probably what the best route for you. Or if you want to cut your losses with Derek Carr, roll with Spencer Rattler. And get those draft picks, get those young players, maybe go through a little bit of hardship. I know we don't want that, but get yourself, go through some hardships, get yourself younger, and, probably be in a position where you're picking in the top 5 in 2026. And that way you can probably get your hands on Arch Manning. So that's how I look at it. So if you're not picking in the top 5 to be able to get Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward or one of these other quarterbacks out there, which I don't think the New Orleans Saints would do. Like, I don't think they're in the business of just drafting guys because, oh man, this is going to be the quarterback. I think that, you're probably going to end up like getting a quarterback. You're probably not going to get a quarterback at all. I wouldn't. Jalen Milroe will be there, TJ. Well, he can stay there. Jalen Milroe is a really good runner. As a passer, I haven't seen enough. I haven't seen enough out of him. I haven't, like, he is not accurate with the football. And he makes some mistakes, man. I think, like, we can't just fall in love with the guy because he ran up and down the field on the LSU Tigers. Like, no, man. Like, he's not a running back. He's a quarterback. How many touchdown passes did he have? That's what I want to know. He didn't have. I don't think did he have did he throw a touchdown? I'm just wondering. So, nah, I'm not. Nah. TJ say he can stay there. I spit my drink. Bro, he get, like, look. Jalen Milroe is one of those guys to me. They'll probably give him a chance. They'll probably take a flyer on him. But the thing about what people don't understand, with Lamar Jackson, like, people are like, man, Lamar Jackson, like, he's a runner, like, he's a running quarterback. But Lamar Jackson can spin it. Like, Lamar Jackson won a freaking Heisman Trophy. He was running a football, but man, he was spinning a rock too. And he always had that capability. But he was so dynamic with his legs, it overshadowed his ability to play quarterback. But he has always been a good quarterback. Jalen Milroe, on the other hand, really good runner. He's a better runner first than he is a quarterback. Now, probably get him in a right system, under the right tutelage. Maybe in a year or two, he can probably be serviceable. You could probably have yourself maybe a Jalen Hurts type situation. But I don't see it, man. Like, if I would just be saying that, I'll just be prisoner of the moment when it comes to that. I'm going to take a few more and I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. Been a pretty long weekend for me. I'll be back on tomorrow. I promise you, we'll be back on tomorrow doing our final thoughts, breaking down the game, talking about the Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. We'll have all that, man. Let's see. Milroe is a running back. Milroe equals Taysom Hill. I don't know. I don't see Taysom Hill. I think he's a elusive guy, but man, Taysom Hill like on another level when it comes. Like I honestly feel like once Taysom Hill retire, you probably won't see another guy player like Taysom Hill ever in your lifetime. Like that's the way I feel about him. We also need to make sure we pick up a legit tight end. We've been struggling way too long at that position. Tom, I said the same thing. I just mentioned this when I was talking about the stats where the New Orleans Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I mentioned Juwan Johnson and him having 2 catches for 22 yards. I think the New Orleans Saints need to finally get themselves a stud tight end. I'm looking at Mason Taylor out of LSU. I think that Mason Taylor could be that guy for the New Orleans Saints. He's not going to be a high draft pick. I can see him maybe going in the 3rd round. The Saints be able to use one of those 3rd round picks that they have to try to get a tight end like Mason Taylor. I think that, he's a guy he gives, Derek Carr, whoever the quarterback would be, a big target. He has that bailout ability. There were times in a game, and I've seen this over countless occasions watching Garrett Nussmeier throw the ball, and we've seen Mason Taylor, make plays. I wouldn't mind it. And plus he'll probably be like a late round draft pick. So I think he'll be able to fall to the New Orleans Saints. What pick was Mahomes taking? He was taking 10th. He was taking number 10 in the draft. And I want to say Marshawn Lattimore was taking 11. Let's see. Are we knocked off as we knocked off the Falcons with a score of 20-17? Keep it going. Yeah, that was the score. That was the score of the game. Says need a vet wide receiver in free agency. I don't know about no vet, man. Look, at this point, God bless him. I hope that he comes back, but Chris Olave is a vet. At this stage, Rashid Shaheed is a vet. What you need is a big target, like true number 1 receiver, like a guy with a alpha dog type mentality that's going to be able to make those plays, because you got the athletes. Like if Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed can stay healthy, you got yourself a really good 1-2 punch there. You add a guy that has like a bigger frame, 6'3", 6'4", can go up there and make those contested catches, get the yards after the catch. The Saints will have a very dynamic offense. They would. But, you can kind of see that with Scantling today. Like, Scantling is a taller guy. He can run, but he can also, like, run really good routes. And I honestly feel like if the New Orleans Saints, over the next couple of weeks, if they utilize Valdez-Scantling more like in a little bit of the slot game too, I think he'll be able to get those yards after the catch. But I can understand why they want him to try to take the top off the defense. He played a huge role in this game where the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. 2 of those touchdowns were Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He had 3 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and 109 yards. Like that's pretty doggone impressive. I'm gonna take like 3 more. It says we can now confirm that DA was 100% the problem. I think you have to admit that. I think you have to admit that after what we saw, the energy of this football team, as I see Will Levis getting sacked and not living up to his expectations. But all I'm saying is you got to take advantage of these opportunities, and Darren Rizzi did that. Dennis Allen did not do it. You have to concede. You got to concede at the fact that the team is playing better with Darren Rizzi. They play like they're playing inspired. And the reason why I know that is because the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. I'm just saying. I don't think that's happening with Dennis Allen. I don't think that you're going to have a score like that. Let's see. I love it, TJ. Thomas says, facts. Pick up the pieces. Loomis is the actual problem. Yeah, I think that Mickey Loomis is too emotional. I understand that the Saints pride themselves out of being like a family business. I get all that, but the reality is, like, you can't mix business with pleasure. And I just think that I think that he was too close to Dennis Allen, because, I mean, he really couldn't see the flaws in his team because he was so busy paying attention to the excuses for Dennis Allen to stay around. But now that Dennis Allen is no longer with the team, you go on WWL radio and say there was the injuries, and then the team basically responds and goes out there and fights, scratch and claws, and beats their bitter rival by a score of 20-17. You have no choice but to concede and saying that this team seems like they're a little bit more inspired. I was twisting my hair, so I couldn't quite hear what you said the score was. Can you repeat it? Charmaine, the score was 20-17 Saints over the Atlanta Falcons in Week 10 inside of the Caesars Superdome. The Atlanta Falcons went into the game with a record of 6-3, having lost a game in the NFC South, was undefeated. Going into this game versus the New Orleans Saints in NFC South play. And they went out there, they played against the New Orleans Saints, but unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done in Week 10 versus the New Orleans Saints. They fell to the New Orleans Saints by a score of 20-17. So, yeah. Derek Carr got to go, too, because he never be a good quarterback. He is what he is right now, Mondo. He is what he is. I mean, you just got to accept that and keep it moving. But the New Orleans Saints are contractually obligated. And did I see Will Lutz just end up missing a 35-yard field goal that would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs? I mean, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the Denver Broncos lost to the Kansas City Chiefs on today. But luckily for the New Orleans Saints, they got the victory over the Atlanta Falcons today. Let's see, stop hiring your friends and family to run your business. It never works. I agree. Riz up. Let's see who that nation. I'm going to hear 20-17 in my sleep. Hey, man, I just want to let everybody know what the score was. I just want to know. I just want to let everybody know. Said it was blocked. Okay. It was blocked. Okay, I got you. It was a great day, man. A lovely day. It's always a great day when the Saints beat the Falcons. But the Saints beat the Falcons today by a score of 20-17. The New Orleans Saints move on, take on the Cleveland Browns, get another little dose of home cooking. Jameis Winston comes back to the Superdome. You know that he's going to want to play his best in this game. He started off hot. Had those 3 touchdowns in a game versus the Baltimore Ravens, shocked the nation right there. And now, it's one of those things, man, where they got to buy. If I'm not mistaken, I think they got to buy this week. But they come back and they play against the New Orleans Saints. So they're going to be coming off a bye. So this gives them a chance to kind of recalibrate, recharge the batteries. The Saints get to focus and really get a little bit of more home cooking. Getting this victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. And now you take on a Cleveland Browns team that's pretty formidable. Roger, thank you very much for the $5. Says somebody asked why Carr talking about DA in his interviews. That's what I want to know. I guess because, birds of a feather flock together, I guess. As long as Denver wins next week against Atlanta. Yeah, I think they have a big chance. I think they have a nice chance of beating the Atlanta Falcons, just like the Saints did today by a score of 20-17. TJ, if we end up 10-7, what's the outlook in your opinion? First off, if they do end up being 10-7, I don't know, man. I would be absolutely shocked, like flabbergasted if they did that. I don't see that happening, man. I honestly don't see the Saints winning too many games. I think that we're happy about this victory, but you got to pay attention to a lot of the issues with this football team. The bad play calling, not the inability to make adjustments in the second half, holding penalties by the offensive line. Nick Saldiveri looking like a waste of a draft pick. Inexperienced guys playing. Like, it kind of worked for you today because teams didn't know how to approach some of these guys. Like, they didn't know how the Saints were going to use Valdez-Scantling. They didn't know how they were going to use Kevin Austin and Dante Pettis. Like, they didn't know that. So you kind of got the element of surprise there. But I expect for the New Orleans Saints the next go round for it to be a little bit more formidable. But I think that it was the element of surprise why the Saints were able to get the victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17 on today. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast as we break down the New Orleans Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. Kirk Cousins for the second consecutive game versus the New Orleans Saints has yet to throw a passing touchdown in 8 quarters against the New Orleans Saints. And maybe if he did, then they wouldn't have lost this game by a score of 20-17 today. They really needed Kirk Cousins to step up in a game of this magnitude. But all in all, we'll be back, later on in the week to break down the Saints versus the Cleveland Browns. We will be talking a little bit about the Saints and some of the moves they'll make, injury reports. Will we see Eric McCoy play next week versus the Cleveland Browns? So many unanswered questions, but we'll be right here on the State of the Saints podcast. Shouts out to everybody that came over to the Bleacher Report. We were talking a little bit about the Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. So if you didn't check that out, make sure that you check it out, okay? Make sure you check it out. I don't want anybody not to know what the score was. You probably was at work, probably didn't watch the game, but just want to let you know that the Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons on today. Somebody in the chat tell them what the score was. I think it was 20-17. Make sure that you check out Bleacher Report, check out the replay. We will I really do appreciate that. And also you can follow me on X at TJAY_Jones8. Till next time, all I got to say is the Saints knocked off the Atlanta Falcons today by a score of 20-17. And who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.